This is a simple introductory video where I will be explaining what I'm doing in what will hopefully be a pretty long, ongoing video series. So a favorite game of mine is called Once Upon a Time. It's a card game, and it's a storytelling game. And the way it works is everyone is trying to take part in the same fairy tale and tell their fairy tale so that they get to each individual specific ending card. There's mechanisms, especially specific cards, whereby people can interrupt each other and try to take over the story and veer the existing story towards their particular ending, which is kept secret. Everyone has a hand of cards, which are the story cards that have different elements on them. The elements are places, items, aspects, characters, and events. Those are the type of cards, suits, if you will. You can say elements that you don't necessarily have cards for, otherwise you'd run out of cards too quickly. And the game, to me, is less about being a competition and more about a fun experience. So a little bit inspired by some other solo gamers out there, such as Solo McLaughlin and the wonderful gentleman who does the solo Mage Knight playthroughs as well. Forgive me, I'm forgetting his name, but he's terrific. So what I'll be doing is I have all of the cards from the first edition from the 90s, as well as this later edition as well. To start, I'll be using just cards from the later edition. Later on in future videos, I may eventually incorporate cards from the first edition as well, in which case the backs won't necessarily sync up, but that's alright. This large pile right here, a large deck, is the deck of the story cards. The smaller deck here are the ending cards that I'm trying to get to. Now, I kind of forget the exact wording of the rules, and the first edition and the most recent third edition from a few years back are slightly different, but in either case, you have a hand of cards. Now, I'm going to be playing it solitaire. I won't be playing it competing with other people. I'm just going to be telling a story on the spot, and that will be the premise of it. Some rules are, or guidelines are, I promise not to simply rip off from existing stories as best as I can. If they sneak into my subconscious and I do it accidentally, I apologize and definitely point that out. I may reuse or regurgitate certain cliches or tropes, but that's part of the fun of a game like this, is taking existing story, especially fairy tale ideas, and recombining them in new ways to tell a new narrative, or even an existing combination of narratives, but in a new, fresh way, from my perspective at least. So that's what I hope to do in this video series. One major difference is that instead of having a hand of cards where I get to choose which one to play in which order, this game will be less about the strategy of how to play those cards, which was only part of the strategy in the original game, and more focused entirely on improvising a story, which I really consider the main focus, and in a solitaire game like this, I can do more easily. One of the ways I'll do that is by being forced to play each card as it comes from the deck. So I can still say elements that there aren't necessarily cards for, but I can't choose the order. Now, just want to make some caveats. I'm not sure how this video series will go, so I'm leaving myself open to change this rule and go back to the original gameplay, where you have a hand of cards and choose what to play next. I may go back to that, but just in case I don't, and you see me just drawing, that's how I'll be doing it. Also, I have the option to simply skip interrupt cards if I decide that aesthetically it's kind of prettier for the video, where hopefully I have the camera So for instance, this card can be used as a story card, hence hunt, or it can be used as an interrupt card where I would interrupt an event. But since it's just me playing, when I draw a card like this, I have the option to use it as the main card or skip it for aesthetic or other reasons and just use it as a regular card, or get rid of it and draw the next one. So that'll be an option I'll have as well. Finally, one major difference is that I'll draw a few cards, probably 3 at the beginning, look at them, and instead of showing you, I'll most likely be showing just myself the one that I pick, and I'll discard the other 2, and then the entire story I'll be moving towards that ending goal. But you won't see it until the end. So that's essentially how I plan to do it. So it won't be the kind of competitive game where different people will be chiming in with their story. It'll just be me playing. And maybe different stories will be different. Maybe some will be more serious, some will be funnier. I'm sure some will simply be better than others. They might all be terrible by your judgment. But hopefully it's kind of interesting and kind of fun. And I'm really open to suggestions. If there's critique or criticism of how I'm playing the game, how I'm telling the story, and you'd like to see something changed, certainly let me know. And so these rules are certainly subject to change, but this is kind of an introduction to the game. The game's out as well if you simply want to buy it for you and your friends to play. I have all the expansions to date as of September 2016. It should be the Animal Tales expansion is most recent. Enchanted Tales is another one. Knightly Tales. Seafaring Tales. If I forget if there was another one as well. And again, I may incorporate the first edition, which just had the base game as well as one expansion called Dark Tales. If I do that, again, the backs will... the one deck will have 2 backs instead of 1. I like the extra variety from the first edition, but I like the aesthetics and art more of the most recent edition, but we'll see if I want that extra variety. Before each game, another thing I promise to do is completely shuffle each deck, and it's a large deck indeed. That way, when I draw the story card, it's as much a surprise to me as to the people watching. I won't have any pre-planned stories. I may have certain ideas bouncing around in my head, and I will, use what I know about writing and everything else, which is, modest and amateur, to help. But it will be hopefully an original story each time. So thank you very much, and I hope you watch some of them. I hope they're either interesting or relaxing or funny or engaging in some way. Thank you.